Everybody, welcome to a Friday morning edition of Box. I'm your host, Frank Holder, sitting here with the comedians known as Fig and Talent. These comics have been in the comedy game since comedy almost was invented. These guys came back. They've been in comedy tours, comedy films, comedy festivals, comedy commercials. Now they're in something called a comedy sports show called, of course, Box Seats. Gentlemen, how are you? And Talent, where you at?
I'm coming to you live from Houston. I think I'd come down here and see what the hell going on with the Deshaun Watson situation. So I came down here to talk to the owners. Yeah, I'm campaigning for him to figure out, see if I can get to the bottom of this. I don't like people mad at each other. I got a problem with that. So I'm gonna stop by the Houston Rockets office and then I'm gonna go right to the Texans.
Now, there's plenty of jokes I can leave with that right about Fig, how you doing this morning?
Man, it's good. I'm at the crib. I'm chilling. You know what I mean? I'm in seclusion and stuff like that. But Talent, you be careful down there in Texas, man, because you know what they say. You go to Texas on vacation, you come back on probation. Don't you catch no charges down there with Deshaun and the boys.
Hey, you know that only applies to everybody non-New Yorker. I'm a New Yorker. I'm already on probation.
Oh, okay. Yeah, for sure.
So in other words, just don't double it up. That's all. That's all.
That's all.
Anyway, let's get ready to get the show started. What I always do is this COVID report. Today's COVID report is brought to you by nobody, but I will say that the first COVID report that I'm going to do on this Friday is brought to you by Kentucky and Kansas. Their game was canceled. Why? Because of COVID. Then again, because not enough players to be able to put on the court. Same thing like we have all the time. But the others, on the flip side, I have some kind of good news in the COVID report today. The Heat Clippers game last night, that the Heat ended up losing by 4 to the Clippers. The Heat instituted the dog sniffing thing that I had mentioned to you guys earlier this week. The Heat, they had the dog sniff people coming into the arena. And I think after the NBA investigates that, I think if it's a success, they're going to institute that amongst all the NBA games immediately and then probably have a lot more fans into the game. What's your thought on that one, Talent? That's pretty interesting.
Well, somebody said something that was very funny when we talked about it the other day. Somebody hit in the message box and said, don't you think they should have started that at the airport first? How you going to start something so severely important at a Heat game?
In Miami.
Meanwhile, the COVID numbers are soaring, but at the game,
again, in Miami.
The popcorn and hot dogs are safe.
Right.
I think it's great. I think that I hope it works. You know what's funny? People have been talking about this dog sniffing thing for all types of ailments. Even before COVID, they were talking about the dogs can sense cancer in the body. You know what I mean? All types of ailments and stuff like that. So it's not a surprise that some bright kennel owner or dog trainer say, you know what, you want to use one of my dogs and see if we could sniff out some COVID.
Yeah.
And just the fact that on the other side they say, you know what, let's try it. I like that.
Yeah, exactly. Fig, what's your thought?
I think it's great, man. They let you travel with animals on planes and stuff like that. And you go into certain restaurants and office buildings or whatever, and they call service dogs because they help people, like Talent said, they could detect, if you're ill, they could detect all kind of ailments and stuff like that, stuff that you can't see, you know what I mean? So it's not a stretch or a reach that they may be able to sniff out COVID. I think it's great, but they could have used it in some other, they could have used it in some other places first. Like Talent
right? I'll say this. In Miami, I wonder what else they found with the dog sniffing at the game last night. I'll be like, okay, what else did y'all find down here? But you know what I mean? Like, what's the drug numbers look like?
Are you trying to say that COVID has some of the same ingredients as cocaine?
Me never. Me, absolutely never. Anyway, let's get the show started. I want to talk about a couple of other things. And the first thing that jumped off this morning is Ben Roethlisberger. He came out yesterday saying that he would be basically play for free, which is, we all know that ain't going to happen. But he said he would play for free because the Pittsburgh Steelers are getting ready to get a $40 million cap hit. They can't take the cap hit. So if Ben was not going to be willing to restructure his contract, they would have to cut him. And of course, Pittsburgh said that, well, we're willing to work with you if you're willing to work with us. Ben said, yeah, I'm willing to work with you. Now, we all know at the beginning of negotiations, it always sounds great. So I'm going to ask you this, Talent. Do you think they're going to work it out and you think he's going to stay? Or do you think it's going to fall through and do you think Ben Roethlisberger is going to wind up somewhere else?
Well, to be honest with you, I think Ben don't have a lot of options at this stage of the career. So I think that they'll work it out. I think he's not going to work for free, but
right.
I think that was a gesture to let you know that I'm willing to. I don't want to go nowhere, and I'm willing to do whatever we need to do to keep this, the team, as far as I'm concerned, as your quarterback, intact. So I definitely would put my money on them working it out. Question is, do they want to work it out? That's a better question. Coming off the season and watching Big Ben break down towards the end like that, do they want to work it out? Mm-hmm. Or it's been, or because of camaraderie and loyalty's sake, because of all the tenure and years that and stature Ben has in that city with that organization, maybe they work it out in a different way that we're not thinking. Maybe they work it out like, okay, you're going to get the minimum wage to hang around and groom and help that next transition along.
Okay, all right.
I can see that.
I would just say this: two things you said. One is, do they want to work it out? I think they do. And two, Ben Roethlisberger has an option if he doesn't want to go with them to land in 10 different spots. There's at least 20. I got the list here. There's at least 20 different spots that's going to have an opening slot for a quarterback. You know what I mean? This is the biggest season we've ever had with so many, starting QBs not locked into their jobs. Biggest season we've ever had. So, Fig, what's your thoughts?
I was thinking, I'm listening to what you said, but I know there's a lot of quarterbacks that could possibly be available, especially with the two that seem to be available in the draft. And I'm just wondering, out of all of the options, where would Ben Roethlisberger fall in the pecking order? Out of all of the quarterbacks that's available or could be available, during this offseason. So I wonder where he would fall during where in that pecking order that he would actually fall. But again, we know he's not going to work for free. I think I heard something earlier today where they said they could get him down to about 20 grand. I mean, 20 grand, 22, 23 million for the year. And I'm thinking to myself, that's a lot of fat burgers for Ben.
Dal, you hear that? He said 20 grand.
I'm over here crying. Like they said they could get him down to 20. He's smoking crack.
20 grand a game, Ben. What you want to do?
Here's the thing. In the pecking order, he would be number 4. You would have Deshaun Watson, Matthew Stafford, you know what I mean? Dak Prescott, and then Ben Roethlisberger. And if Drew Brees comes back, then of course he'd fall back after Drew Brees. But Drew Brees would probably come back and go back immediately back to New Orleans. You know what I mean?
You think Drew was coming back? I thought Drew was retiring.
I said if he comes back.
Okay.
If he comes back, he would then fall back at that. So I'm gonna say this: I think Ben Roethlisberger is gonna come back. If they don't work it out and everything else, I could easily see him land in Indianapolis or Denver, because obviously, he's going to want to go to a team and he'll have the choice of where he wants to go. He want to go to his team that's already basically set and has a whole lot better options, and that would be willing to pay him on the cheap.
Yeah. And those are two blue collar teams. So I can see that.
Right. I ain't mentioned Aaron because Aaron's not a free agent. You know what I mean? Like Aaron's still under contract. He's still under contract for the next year and a half. He's not forcing his way out. The only way we talk about Aaron Rodgers right now is because of the stuff that he said. All the other QBs I've mentioned to you, they on their way out. It's just, Roethlisberger, he has to restructure. Matthew Stafford is being traded, no doubt about that. And Deshaun Watson requested a trade. Those are number 1 and 2 names right now that everybody's sitting there trying to say, hey, what you going on with these two guys and where are they going to land and everything else. But speaking of Deshaun Watson, I'm going to ask you this, Talent. Deshaun Watson, people were speculating a little while ago that Deshaun Watson wanted to leave Houston and everything else because he wasn't going to get a black coach. Then people were speculating he wasn't going to get some other black coaches behind it. He got everything he really wanted. You know what I mean? The only thing that certain things happened that he might not have liked. And then first we all thought maybe it was Deshaun, D Hopkins. Hopkins got traded and everything else. But after DeAndre Hopkins got traded, Deshaun Watson signed an extension with the franchise. He didn't do it before. He did it after. So my question to you, Talon, is he signed an extension, but a year later, he is so mad that he wants out. What do you think is really going on the reason why he wants out? Because it can't be DeAndre Hopkins. It can't. Right. It can't be a black. He got a black coach now. It can't. Right. Be that. What do you think?
Well, I don't think with him. I don't think it necessarily end all be all breaks down to race, but I do think that it is personnel as opposed to players. When a person trades a big time player like that, and you still re-up and sign and stay, then that means that wasn't your deal breaker. That means that you're more worried about administrative stuff and coaching and people you got to work with and be around on that level. So I think that, and that may or may not break down to as deep as black and white as we think. I think it's personnel, but maybe not black. I don't think he wants everything black. I think if we go out of our way to make everything black, we're working like we're hypocrites, and we're working oxymoron-ish, like we're going against the grain. The whole point of equality is to level the playing field. Like even it out. Like, okay, we got black ones, we got white ones, we got Spanish ones, we got Asian ones. But if you go everything black, you're kind of hypocritical and it's an oxymoron. So I think it's something to do with, like we said, I think a couple of weeks ago, it's something to do with what they said they were willing to do. Not probably on paper per se, but then they went against what they said they would do. Maybe it's something as simple as I bring somebody in and didn't even speak to you about it. That happens all the time.
Yeah, you know what it is, Talon? Maybe they just lied to him one too many times. Maybe he just got sick and tired of being lied to. Maybe they didn't include him in everything else. I mean, that I know them not including him in a lot of these transaction stuff has had a lot to do with it. But maybe how sometimes you get lied to one too many times. You like, you know what? I can't take it. No, you lied to me.
And to be honest with you, one too many times could be one time. Like all you got to do is make a deal to say that, hey man, before we do anything, we're going to give a call, sit down, and let's bounce off of each other and come up with a solution or an answer. And then I don't make the call.
Right. I agree with you on that one. Fig, what's your thoughts?
I think it's exactly what both of you guys have been saying all along. I think what happened is, I think after they traded DeAndre Hopkins, it probably kicked up some dust, and they had a conversation with Watkins and told him, like, listen, man, Deshaun, before we make any further major moves, we're going to consult you and we're going to have a conversation with you and give you an opportunity to have your input. And I think that when they went out and hired this coach, I think quite possibly Deshaun, that wasn't the guy that Deshaun said that he wanted. And, sometimes these organizations, they really don't value their top players. I mean, even in Green Bay, they don't value Aaron Rodgers and what his wishes are. So imagine what it could be for Deshaun Watkins, who doesn't have the stellar resume of an Aaron Rodgers. So I mean, maybe it is the one lie that broke the camel's back.
Now check this out. I'm gonna throw this out there. You know how I do my Pelican briefs, like Rodney Berry said. As I always do these Pelican briefs. This is what I think. This is what I don't think everybody's paying attention to. Everybody's always talking about, especially this last week, who has the most to offer Deshaun Watson. We know the Jets have the most to offer. We know the Dolphins have the most to offer and everything else. But let's just say that Deshaun Watson does not want to go to a team that's rebuilding. You know what I mean? I'm thinking Deshaun Watson, which nobody's really talking about too much. Deshaun Watson has a say-so of where he can go and where he wants to go. You know what I mean? So we know that the Jets got a new head coach. They're still rebuilding. They got a whole lot of picks and everything else, but they're still not there yet. They're not going to turn around in the Super Bowl and then be in the Super Bowl or be deep in the playoffs within one season. That's just not going to happen. Chemistry has to go. So here's my Pelican brief. My Pelican brief is going to be that I think Deshaun is not going to go to Miami and not going to go to the Jets. I'm thinking that he will take a look to see if San Francisco's going to make a bid at him. I'm thinking he's going to say if the Saints going to make a run for him, which I don't think the Saints would because what's his name is going to retire. I think he's going to take a look at all the basically any team that's already really there and has been winning and maybe a great quarterback shy of winning the Super Bowl because he's in his prime and he wants to win now. You know what I mean? So that's what I think he's going to do. Now it could be the Cowboys. It could
I don't agree.
It could be the Niners.
I'm gonna tell you why I don't think that is the case, because
what's your thought?
I think that even though he's in his prime, the guy still has youth on his sides, you know. And in football, I think it's more about that's a basketball NBA remedy. That's the new way of the game, stacking chips. I think in football, I think it's more about legacy. I think it's more about owning the team. I think a great player, especially a quarterback, they're in position to become the franchise. And I think that's more important than just getting in and making a run for a season or two. I think if you can have the rest of your career, you gotta, let's face it, the Brett Favres of the game, the Marinos of the game, the Montanas of the game, and now the Mahomes of the game. These guys, even Aaron Rodgers that we talk about all the time, I think that is what a real good quarterback hones in on more than anything. I think the NBA mindset, you would be right. But I think a player in the NFL wants legacy. I think they want to own their franchise. I don't think they get off on popping around and jumping these teams who are very close to winning. So I think you might be wrong, and I think you're gonna miss that one.
Okay, but just think of this one. Fig, I'm gonna throw it to you. I don't agree with what he's saying. I'm gonna throw it to you. If New Orleans Saints call and they only got one draft, they only got one pick to give him and maybe a player and everything else, and Deshaun Watson saw they got Emmanuel Sanders, they got the other wide receivers, they got 3 wide receivers and they got a running back. They're ready to win now. If New Orleans Saints calls and do you think that he'll sit there and say, you know what, New Orleans, give what you can give because I'll go play there? He has the option, basically. He has the option to go wherever he wants. So with what Talent's saying, he's saying that he wants to do more so with legacy and everything. I'm saying he wants to win the Super Bowl now. That's what I'm saying. So what's your thought process on this whole thing, Fig?
I think it'd be a combination of the two. I think he wants to be a part of his team where he has a say-so, with the organization. And I also think he wants to win. I mean, listen, you look at what he did with his team, with the Texans this year, and his team was decimated and really didn't have enough weapons in order to get the job done. I look at it like this. Whichever team he ends up going to, aren't they going to have to give up a lot anyway to be able to get him? So, teams have.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Vic. Go ahead.
I mean, teams have weapons, and they're quite possibly in a position to win. But in order to get Deshaun Watson, aren't they going to have to get because we told even the Jets they got picks and players and stuff like that. Any team that gets Deshaun Watson, it's not going to be picks alone. You're going to have to give up some players, and giving up players and possibly picks could diminish your chance of winning. Yeah, but
here's the thing of what the whole point of my Pelican brief is Deshaun Watson can literally put a team in a position that he wants to go in a better position to get him because he can call the shots. You would think right now you could say, yeah, of course, if the Jets call, the Jets got to give up 3 first-round picks and they got to give up maybe a player and everything else. But if he says, no, I don't want to go to the Jets, and now Jets are off the table. Jets and Dolphins have the most to give. And then after that, you start working your way down. Then teams have less and less and less to give. The Saints are in the top tier. They have the less. They're in a group of teams that have the least amount to give. But if he wants to go there, he then forces the New Orleans Saints ownership and management to then say, well, this is all we have to give. And he can nix everything because if he wants to play for the Saints, they have to take it. Because you know what? He could literally sit out the whole year. If Houston says, nah, we ain't trading him, he could be like, all right, well, I'm not playing. I'm not playing. You know what I mean?
It's possible, but Houston can also. I mean, you don't think that Houston is going to give up a player like Deshaun Watson and not get anything back? Even if it is the Saints, ain't you going to say, well, listen, give me this player? Because you don't have picks. If you don't have picks, then you got to give me something. I'm not just going to get a guy to you. You got to give me something.
Not only that, Frank, you just went against what you said yourself. Why would you even factor in a point that he would even think or entertain? Well, I'm not going to play him and sit out of the season. If you truly believe he wants to win now, that's off the table. That whole option right there is off the table. He won't sit out for a season. So this is what I'm saying. No, he won't sit out for a season. What I'm saying is that you got to dismiss that. What I think is this. I think in the NFL, we have what we call game changers.
Yeah.
When you look at a team, right, and you say, well, he want to go to this team because they got all the pieces. Like Fig got a great point. Yeah, they got all the pieces right now until they go get you. You can go to a team who seems 5 years away from a chip, but you may be the game changer to change it like that. Now it's not 5 years. Now we can win next year.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He's a game changer.
Yeah, but the only reason why he said that, I'm not going to play that. That's just a threatening tactic he would use to not be able to, to force their hand, like how James Harden did with the Houston, and how we had this conversation the other day about NBA players and NFL players, whereas the NFL players are slowly creeping up now, starting to use what they have as leverage to force management and ownership and to do certain things, because now in their contracts that are being written, they're getting more and more power every year. They're getting more powerful versus 5 years ago. And after the NFL collective bargaining agreement, they didn't have that kind of power. You know what I mean? The team could still cut you no matter how much guaranteed money you had. But now it's literally starting to go like this. You know what I mean? It's starting to get there. So that's why I'm saying Deshaun literally could say, you know what? If you don't make that trade happen to the Saints or to the Cowboys or to the Bears, imagine him with the Saints. The Saints, if he was with the Saints this year, the Saints would have won that game. I could firmly say that. If he's with the Cowboys this year, the Cowboys would have won more games. If he's with the Broncos would have won more games. I mean, you know what I mean? So I'm only saying he's literally that one particular piece and that one better player.
But your hypothetical still, Fig has the greatest point in this argument right now, that when he says that, yes, we can look at it and say this, if you're on this team right now, you win. But it's not going to be that scenario once he goes to that team. They have to give up pieces and chunks and draft picks and players, and all of these things are going to change. It's not going to be identical. It's not like just dropping a quarterback into what is already there. Them people got to go now.
Yeah,
the only way I think this works is if they do it the way, like you mentioned Houston, the way they did James Harden. I think the only way it works is if they get it got to be like a multiple kind of team thing where everybody gets a little bit, you know what I mean? Where you get other teams involved in the trade, where it's like a 3-4 team deal, you know what I mean? Where players are moving around and everybody gets a little better. Because if it's just straight up, Deshaun Watkins to go to one team, then that team is going to have to give up some quality players, and then it's going to weaken the team.
Yeah, or maybe draft picks 3, 4, 5, maybe first round draft pick this year, first round draft pick next year, first round draft pick year after that, or maybe second round draft pick this year, second round draft pick next year. You know what I mean? Like they could still do it and still stay a powerful team and not lose any players if they give up draft picks and everything. Like there's a way that you can navigate if the player is forcing your hand. You know what I mean? If he's forcing your hand, that's all I'm saying is that there are a lot of people that are not even contemplating in these conversations that they're having. Everybody's assuming, he's going to land on the Jets or the Dolphins. I'm like, you know what? What happens if he doesn't want to go build with another team? Because you just because you go with that team and you want to build it, does not guarantee that team's going to win. Unless you go to a team that's closer there, like the Saints, or closer there, like the Bears, or closer. That's all I'm saying.
I just had an epiphany. Tell it. Do you see? It just came to me what Frank is doing. It just hit me. I got it. I see what you're doing, Frank. You think you sneaky, but I just caught you. He don't want Deshaun Watson going to the Jets or the Dolphins, which is in the same conference as the New England Patriots. You think you slipped, Frank? I got you.
Not even close. I think he's going to stay. Honestly, I think he's going to stay in the AFC. So I would see him anywhere. You know what I mean? We going to see him anywhere. You know what? It ain't got to do with that. So he going to beat us anyway. I ain't worried about that. But I'm just saying right now, I think that it ain't going to be the Jets or the Dolphins because everybody's assuming that. And I think he wants to win now. You know what I mean? He is an injury away from being gone. I mean, anything can happen. It's just not guaranteed unless you go to a better team. That's all I'm saying. You know, that's all I'm saying. But anyway, let's switch. Let me switch. Since we talk about players and movement, let me switch something because I read last night. Andre Drummond, who's on the Cleveland Cavaliers, has been talking to the management over at the Brooklyn Nets for the buyout. Now, this makes it completely interesting because Brooklyn Nets are still in the Kevin Love, JaVale McGee movement. They're still in the talks of moving that and everything to trade. But Andre Drummond is buying out his contract in 10 days. He go anywhere he wants once he buys himself out. He has already had his agent make a call to the Brooklyn Nets. They've expressed interest. I'm willing to bet within the next week or so, we're going to see Andre Drummond's going to be on the Brooklyn Nets. Now, imagine the team now, Brooklyn Nets, the way they are now, with Kevin Love, JaVale McGee, and Andre Drummond. What's your thoughts about that, Talent?
That's going to be fire, baby, fire. Now, by the way, he's from Mount Vernon. Just throwing that out there. Just throwing that out there. It's another Mount Vernon NBA player. All right, Ben Gordon, Andre Drummond. I think this is our 20-something NBA player come out of that little town called Mount Vernon. I think it's great. I think it elevates their play. And let's not forget, they're working on other things as well. And we were talking about another show, like they are stacking the deck. And I think what this has to do with now is what players are doing now is almost like we've watched injuries at an all-time high in the last decade of basketball, so to speak. And I think people are starting to gear up on injuries. Mm-hmm. The what ifs, that always existed, but I think now they're putting their money where their mouth is. Now it's more like, okay, well, what if these two players or this player go down? You know what? Give me these three players over here. In case they go down, I got these three over here. So now you have a bench for those minutes that you need. Remember what I said, about the minutes. That's one thing. But the other thing is I'm invested in, just in case, reoccurring injuries. That's what I think.
You know what I think? Before I throw it to Fig, you know what I think? I think Brooklyn is thinking ahead, right? I think they're thinking ahead. I think they're thinking they're going to make it to the finals. I think they're thinking that they might face the Lakers in the finals. And I think they want to combat Lakers with the tower thing, you know what I mean? How they did that last year. I had the two bigs in all the time and somebody play off AD, you know what I mean? Big, and then with LeBron. I think they're thinking that far ahead. That's what I think they're doing. And they're planning that. So they're saying, okay, if we could have JaVale McGee and Andre Drummond to battle all that off. But anyway, Fig, what's your thoughts on this?
I didn't see that, man. You said JaVale McGee and Andre Drummond? Wow.
Yeah.
That's big. Now, that's big because I see Andre Drummond as like an enforcer in the paint, old school type center. I like him for that. But he doesn't seem like the type of player that's mobile enough to guard like a Anthony Davis and stuff like that. So I didn't know how he was going to fit with the Nets if they're thinking about going up against the Lakers. I'd like JaVale McGee to play defense against a AD better than Andre Drummond. But let me tell you something. He's an enforcer in the paint, and he's a rebounding machine. I think he averages like somewhere between 15 to 18 rebounds a game. So I think that he would do very well on a team like the Nets.
He's the top 5 rebounders in the NBA right now, playing out right now. He's in the top 5. There's no doubt about it. If they got him, they ain't getting him to shoot. They ain't getting him to do anything else except set picks and rebound. So when people want to do that pick swinging thing that they like to do, the Lakers like to do, especially other people, when LeBron's trying to give one of those players, when KD's trying to, move the picks off, or Kyrie's trying to get off the picks. So you know how they want to set those picks. They get Andre Drummond. The whole thing they're trying to do is to make sure they have him out there, set picks so they can free up some shooters, so they can shoot the lights out and just try to win the NBA championship. That's what I think that they're trying to do.
He's strong too, man. Andre Drummond is a strong player. Like, when he's one of those immovable type players. When he gets down in the paint, he's immovable. And he can score.
Mount Vernon.
You want to give him
Mount Vernon is strong. Mount Vernon is strong.
Is that money earning Mount Vernon?
Money earning Mount Vernon. Strong.
You know what? I want to say one other thing too. So we've had a conversation about a couple of issues where we talked about James Harden. We talked about obviously him moving to Brooklyn and everything else. But you know what's been happening? The Rockets have been winning, Talent. They won 4 straight games. You know what I mean? So maybe something that John Wall said or a couple other players have mentioned before, the trade, maybe what they said was true. Maybe what they were saying meant a lot. And that was, bro, we only 9 games in at the time. Why are you trying to request a trade? We could possibly win. Now, imagine if James Harden was still on that team and that they won 4 games and they looking like they could win a lot more. Boogie is playing out of his mind right now. So my question to you is, what are your thoughts on this, Talent, when you hear that Rockets has now won 4 straight and they fall out of control?
Well, I had a chance to watch the last game, bro, And you are right. They are balling. But you know what it is? They're having fun again.
Mm-hmm.
I think James Harden took the fun out of the team. You know, minus the new players they put together. Just that momentum and aura over there is totally different. It's looking like a different Houston Rockets team. You know what I mean? These players look like they like to play together. I'm looking at you got to look at the little mannerisms and teamwork, like when players go down and you got to help them up and block them so like somebody don't fall on them and all that. All that's there. I haven't seen that in the Rockets in a minute. And I think that, you know, they back. I think they back.
You know what I like to see before I throw the fig? You know what I like? I like that the Silas kid, the new coach and everything else, is starting to get a chance to work with the team right now, and he's shown how great coaching actually could be. And you know what? I'm just rooting for him. You know, black coach gets an opportunity after 25 years, and he finally gets an opportunity. James Harden throws a whole monkey wrench in his thing, and now he's finally getting ready to show what he can do with the players he has. That's just my thought process. Fig, what's your thought process?
Man, listen, man. I think it's a new system, a new coach, and it was going to take them a chance, you know, some time before they were able to galvanize and get the team together where they could form some type of chemistry and cohesiveness. I mean, you know, everybody know who Boogie is when he's healthy. Everybody know who John Wall is when he's healthy. And then they added a player like a Victor Oladipo, man. I mean, you just take these individual players on their respective teams. They were stars. You know what I mean? They were all-star type players. And you put them all together on one team. As soon as they get a little chemistry, it's not a stretch that they're going to be able to win a few games and cause some problems for other teams trying to make it. So I like this this new team. They're playing well. They're winning, and they look like they're forming a little chemistry. Like you said, when James Harden was there, it was just a few games. That was a small sample size. And now they're seeming like they're trying to, you know, they're just getting it together. I'd like to see them after the All-Star break to see what they really turn into, because I think it'll only get better from here.
You know what, man? I'm going to throw this out there, too. I'm willing to bet that the team didn't even have no chemistry. I mean, absolutely no chemistry, because James Harden was keeping them from being able to create some chemistry. I'm willing to bet people were so distracted by how upset he was. It took everything away from everything they were doing in practice. And of course, dealing with COVID, trying to do that. They got the trade. You know, obviously the trade. They got John Wall. They're trying to work stuff. I mean, you know, that's what I think. I mean, you know, it takes some time for things to come in play. It takes some time for people to figure out where they like the ball in their spot. It takes some time to figure out your other players where they like to shoot it. You know what I mean? Tell me if I'm wrong.
No. You're absolutely right. You hit that nail on the head. And I'm telling you, man, with basketball, anybody who ever played this sport regulation-wise, because it is a difference in just playing in the playground and regulation. The playground, you don't have to have camaraderie. You know, it's every man for himself. If the ball come to me, I shoot it. I run down the court, I defend. But you guys get in the car, go your own separate ways. When you have a real professional team, it makes every bit of difference in the world. A, if they like each other. B, if they challenge each other, because that's the best team you're ever going to see play. When you put great players together and they actually challenge each other in a competitive, friendly, comrade-ish way. Like, we're comrades, we're co-workers. But yeah, man, you know, get off your ass. Let me see if you can grab 10 rebounds. Yeah, I'm gonna do 10 assists tonight.
AD just said almost everything you just said this morning on First Take. What's your thought, Vic?
Yeah, man, I think he's spot on, and I'm gonna tell you why, man. You know, a few years ago, before Golden State Warriors started winning, Mark Jackson was, you know, he was like pushing the team, telling you how good these guys were. And then when Steve Kerr got there, we saw, like, you know, they had a little change in the offense. But the thing that really got to me about this team was they were on a string when they were on the court. Defensively and offensively, they played together. And here's the last piece. After the games were over, these guys actually hung out together at each other's houses. They went out to dinner together. They did activities together as a team. And all of that stuff that they did, it transfers over to the court in the game. I'm not saying you don't need talent, but I'm just saying once you have the talent and you can create that kind of camaraderie and these guys start playing for each other, that's a whole different team.
Bro,
oh no, that's perfect and real, because I'm gonna give you a prime example, Frank. You knew the shift in the San Antonio days came when like Fig said, when people hang together and cluster together, if my 12 players are my crew, that's a different thing than if 12 players have individual crews. You from Boston, New Edition, when New Edition got back together, it wasn't the same. They had 5, 6 tour buses because everybody had their own crew. Right. There wasn't a crew no more. They had 5, 6 tour buses and rode city to city separate with their own crews. When Kawhi was ready to go, Kawhi had a separate crew. What did Popovich say in every interview? Hey, what's going on with Kawhi? Is he going to be back with Team coming? You got to ask Kawhi's people.
That's a very good point. That's a very, 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 very good point. But I like how you do that New Edition analogy in there. I noticed that he threw that little uppercut.
But that wasn't even a slight. It was real because when I read Bobby Brown's book, that jumped out to me when he showed the difference of the old New Edition and then when they got back together to tour, they had to talk Bobby into it. And then even then, by the time they got it together, everybody was disconnected with each other. They was rolling. He said we had to waste money. He said the money we wasted on individual travel and tour buses.
Whoa, hold up. Bobby Brown had a book? You trying to say that Bobby Brown wrote a book? What was
every
that?
Little step. Every little step, man. Every little step.
Big, we don't have time for that reality show right now. We ain't got time for that. Anyway, let's get the show rolling on with my man, Mr. Rodney Perry, because he got a segment he calls I Disagree. So, Rodney Perry, we want to bring you in here. The topic of the conversation was been about Deshaun Watson. We talked about a couple of things. We talked about Tampa Bay. We talked about Big Ben. We talked about a couple of things. And most importantly, we talked about the Houston Rockets winning.
Shouts out to Money Earning Mount Vernon. The great Heavy D. I don't know a whole lot about the athletic prowess of Mount Vernon, but I know they yield some great comics and great singers. And I know that I don't care. Let's start with the Pelican brief. Deshaun Watson. That was part of your Pelican brief, am I right?
Yep, that was my Pelican brief. Deshaun Watson not going to the Jets or the Dolphins. That was my Pelican brief.
That's not absurd. That is definitely not absurd that he won't end up there. Personally, I would like to see him end up in a Bear uniform. I think the Bears present that middle, that bridge between both of y'all points, in terms of a team that may give him some legacy in one of the first teams in the NFL. So the Bears can give some legacy, and they're a team that's not far away that needs a quarterback, and that can give him some say so in the front office. I think it could be a great place, but also being a Bear fan, they might mess up this boy's career. So I'm not for it, but if he come, I'm gonna be very happy. Y'all talked about Houston and the fact that they're looking decent, but they still Houston. They couldn't get it done with Harden, and I bet money that they're not gonna get it done without Harden. The key phrase, and I think Fig said it, that when they're healthy, they look great. Boogie, John Wall, he's absolutely correct. But how about this? When last time we seen him healthy?
Mm-hmm.
When last time we seen Boogie play a whole season? Boogie ain't played a whole season since Dennis Rodman was playing.
That's cool, right? That's cool.
I'm a fan of Boogie Cousins, man, and I like the guy. He's doing great things for comedy right now, which I think is dope. But it's fool's gold, man. Every time we get excited about him, he gets something happen. Mm-hmm. A groin or something, and he's not. He if he was playing a little smaller, I could believe it. But he's still a big dude. I think he need to, for him to make it through a season, he would have to probably lose 15, 20 more pounds. I love the way John Wall is looking. Like y'all said, that Houston team look good, but they in the West. They still got to get through LA. They got to get through Denver is looking crazy. They got to get through your boy out in Portland. It's a lot of they got to get through to even be viable.
Phoenix, there's like 8, 9 other teams. Yeah, you're right, Rodney.
So you look at that. Now let's look at the other side. You know, I mean, we're putting a lot of attention on let's say the Nets, and I mean the Nets. You know, a lot of us looking at the Nets to be a team, but we don't know that. I mean, I thought about what we talked about yesterday. Philly looks great, man.
They do.
Boston is no slouch. Milwaukee is not a game. I wouldn't be surprised if the Nets don't be nowhere near it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think you spoke to Frank. It taking some time. You know, it may take a season for the Nets to even get any chemistry. They still lack chemistry, and so I don't know if I'm completely disagreeing with y'all today. You know, y'all stayed away from my man, trying not to besmirch my man name, so that's a good thing. And
who that?
I don't even want to get into it, Frank. I ain't trying to get into it. You know.
I know.
You sure? Just asking.
I would love for your Pelican brief for Deshaun Watson, like I said, to end up in Chicago. Boogie and Boogie and the Boogettes can go sit down somewhere. Ain't nothing happening in Houston, and I'll take it even a step further. I'm tell you why it ain't gonna happen, because Houston is a horrible basketball city.
Okay, I just want to make sure we say one thing for the record, that I do think Deshaun Watson is going anywhere else but where everybody thinks he's going to go. That's all I think. You know what I mean? Everybody thinks it's going to be.
Don't nobody be going to Chicago but me in the whole world.
Nah. I've heard Chicago. I've heard Chicago, the Saints, the Cowboys.
He's not going to Chicago. He got too much style for Chicago. Chicago's gritty. He's a classy, stylish guy. He's, another gritty guy go take that job.
I will tell you right now. Can you imagine if he went to the 49ers? Like, you know what I mean?
I can see that.
If he goes to the 49ers and they get rid of Jimmy G, if he goes to the 49ers, they going to the Super Bowl next year, bro. I
think Jimmy G ought to stay long enough to take him out and show him the town, and then Jimmy can leave.
Let me say something real quick to this disagree guy here, Mr. Perry. Don't ever disrespect the 4 square miles of Mount Vernon. We are the only city that have a championship ring in all sports. Now, if you want to talk about, you don't know about players in the NBA, Ray and Gus Williams, Earl Tatum, Ben Gordon. Are you kidding me? Drummond, Kevin Jones, Rodney and Scooter McRae. Let me tell you something, brother. And one of those McRaes was on the Jordan Bulls. We got a ring in every sport there is, even hockey.
Okay.
Y'all got a hockey ring.
Okay.
Damn right. Look it up.
Y'all ain't got no soccer ring.
What? Soccer wasn't really around. Soccer just got new over here. Yeah. Oh, we got all our Jamaicans imported.
All right, can I do the picks of the week before we do the top dogs? Let's do the pick of the week right now. And being that we don't have football this week, I want to pick the NBA game we're going to take a look at. I'm going to start with you, Talent. Right now, I'm going to ask you, the Lakers are playing the Celtics. I'm not going to go through the whole NBA roster. That's going to be the game of the weekend, is the Lakers are playing the Celtics this weekend. And I'm going to ask you, Talent, start with you. Who you think is going to take? The Lakers are on a 2-game losing streak. They lost to Detroit. They lost to the Sixers. And now they're coming into Boston, and they're going to play the Celtics. There might be some load management involved. It might not be. We'll see. What's your thoughts?
Well, I like the Celtics to beat them, because the Celtics are right at that point where they need a turnaround. And I think the point got to come within the next 3-4 games. And hopefully, because it's the Lakers, they'll get up and make that turnaround. They'll push forward. Like Brown's on fire. Mm-hmm. You know, I think you might have a new leader of that team, Frank, really deal with that. I can say that. And I think that this is his time to shine, because he knows if he puts up those numbers he's been putting up against the Lakers, boom.
See, I you know what I would say right now? I'm going to say this. I'm going to be rooting for the Celtics real heavy. But I think since the Lakers lost 2 games, I think the Lakers are coming out to win this game. So I'm going to have to take the Lakers on this one. I think the Lakers are going to win. Rodney Perry, who do you think is going to take this game?
I mean, you hard-pressed to beat the Lakers 3 times in a row. Anybody lose 3 times, that's just a tough prospect. But they are on the back end of like a long road trip. I think this is like their 8th or 9th game on this road trip, and they're not about to get no home cooking after this game. So this would be a good way for them to go home. I'm gonna take the Lakers.
Yeah. Fig, what's your thought?
What can Brown do for you? That's what I'm talking about. Listen, here's the thing. I think AD got a little slight injury. And I'm not sure what LeBron's going to do. I mean, I saw the interview with LeBron. He said, I don't get tired. So I don't expect LeBron to do any load management. So I think if anybody's going to play, LeBron is going to play. But since AD been out, they don't look good as a team. I think they lost a little chemistry because AD's not in there. So if AD's not in there, I'm going to go with the Celtics. But if everybody play, I got to go with the Lakers.
The guy, he said, I don't get tired. The guy interviewed him, said, I got tired for him saying he don't get tired. LeBron don't get tired. Somebody tell LeBron to tell his face.
Yeah, because his nose is drooping and everything. He looked kind of tired to me. I was like, you may not be tired, but them bags under your eyes look like you had luck.
He kept saying it. He must have said it about 10 times. I don't get tired.
Yeah.
What are you talking about tired? I'm never tired.
His wife say he never get tired.
What'd you say, Rodney Perry?
His wife say he never get tired.
See, there you go with that. It's a family show. It's a family show. Fig, you ready to do the top dogs of the week, bro?
Yeah, man. If you don't get tired, you don't get tired. I tell you somebody that's tired. There's a couple of losers on here. They were tired. They tired of losing.
Yeah. Top dogs, your turn.
Yo, the top dogs of the week, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to bring it to you like you want it. If you like the top dogs, if you like a dog in your house, let me hear you bark. Number one on my list, not in any particular order, but ladies and gentlemen, this is where I wrote it down. Number one on the list. I got Tampa Bay versus Green Bay. I got to give it to the old man, the AARP man himself. I got to give it to Tom Brady doing the damn thing, 31-26 over that bad man. Aaron Rodgers passing for 280 yards, 3 touchdowns at 43 years old. I'm telling you, that qualifies for AARP at 43. They start sending you those pamphlets. I ought to know. Give it to my man, Tom Brady getting it done. Next on the list, I got the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Bills. I got to give it to my homeboy, Mr. Patrick. He was getting the job done, beating the Bills 38-24, passing for 325 yards, 3 touchdowns, in an AFC championship game. Let's give it to Patrick Mahomes on his way to the Super Bowl. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Patrick Mahomes, ladies and gentlemen. Number 3 on the list, I got the Lakers versus the 76ers. LA versus Philly. What a game. Ladies and gentlemen, got to give it to my man, Joel Embiid. He was doing the damn thing before LeBron pushed him down and slammed his back on the hard wooden floor, man. Oh, man, crushed Joel Embiid. But before he did the damn thing, he scored 28 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, taking it to AD and LeBron, leading the 76ers over the reigning NBA champs. Let's give it to Joel Embiid getting it done. Number 4 on the list, I had the Nets versus the Atlanta Hawks. 132 points for the Nets, 128 for the Hawks. I'm going to give it to James Harden. Why am I giving it to James Harden? Because he's playing point guard. He dropped 31 points, 15 assists, 8 rebounds, and he's on a new team, and we don't have any chemistry problems on that team right now with James Harden. He's not being a diva. He's just getting out there and doing the damn thing. I'm giving it to my man, James Harden. He's a dog. Last on my list, ladies and gentlemen, number 5 on the list, I got Houston versus the Portland Trailblazers. Everybody thought that Houston was done, and I got to give it to my man Victor Oladipo coming off an injury. He dropped 25 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists over that bad man in Portland. Dame Dollar, let me hear you holler, getting it done. Give it to Victor Oladipo, leading the Houston Rockets 104-101 over the Portland Trailblazers. And everybody thought that Houston was done because they lost James Harden. I'm telling you, Victor Oladipo said, not so. I'm giving it to my man, Oladipo. That's right. That is his name. Oladipo is a dog. That's my 5 top dogs of the week. That's what I got on my list. Tell me what you got on yours.
Okay.
Yo.
I like that.
Hey,
I like that. I just want to.
I like the Oladipo pick. That dude is a beast, man.
I do. But I want to throw in there one person you should have had in there. You had to have in there. You missed out. That was Dustin Poirier, who upset Conor McGregor in the UFC on Saturday night, man. And that was a big fight yeah, you know what I mean. And nobody saw that coming, man. So I just want to add that.
I think Conor
didn't coming either because he was sleeping.
Conor took that dude a little light, I think.
Yeah, he did. He definitely did.
I wasn't impressed with that dude, man.
I don't know how impressive or not. I just think that dude won and nobody saw that, and a lot of people lost a lot of money.
Well, all I know is he got a new nickname, Conor Nate Robinson McGregor.
All right, let me ask you all this. You know what? I heard something last night. I heard something last night. I want to ask you all this. And a friend of mine called me and he was like, yo, you're not going to believe what they're talking about on Golden State Radio right now. I said, what's that? He said, Golden State Radio, the commentators are talking about should the people out there possibly trade my man Draymond Green and get 2 other players possibly, or another player and of course a future pick. So I'm going to start with you, Rodney Perry. Do you think Golden State should trade Draymond Green right now because they think that kid they got right now could basically take his place? That James was Winston. Yeah,
man,
Weissman.
I'm not a big fan of getting rid of chemistry guys. Draymond Green is a chemistry guy. He's the heartbeat of the team. If you let go of Draymond Green, you're letting go of the team that we saw make those runs.
Mm-hmm.
And so, is it time to do that? Maybe.
You can't wait too late like how the Celtics did with Bird, Parrish, and McHale. You know what I mean? You can't wait too late.
It may be time. You still got your nucleus. As long as you got the little man, little light skin, you good.
As long as you got the Splash Brothers, you're good. That's what I look at it. Now you got the Splash.
You don't have Splash Brothers. You got a Splash.
Yeah.
You got your main guy.
Yeah.
You don't have the brothers no more.
No, you can't look at it like that. I think you guys are looking at it all wrong. The Splash Brothers are not going to get it done on a championship level by themselves. You had it right the first time, Rodney. Chemistry guys. Draymond's the heart of that trio there, that whole team. Draymond, ain't no ifs and buts about it. Steph's not going to be as tough. Nobody's going to be as tough as Draymond to get them riled up to play the defense that they're known for, first of all. And nobody's going to be that intangible guy. He's that Dennis Rodman. He's that David Robinson. Those guys that a lot of the things they do don't make the stat books, but it makes a difference in the game. That's Draymond for the Golden State Warriors.
So you wouldn't trade him, Rodney? You wouldn't trade him.
No, so it's not time yet. It's not time.
Okay,
I think it is time, and yes.
I would trade him now. I would trade him now, so you get a lot for him.
Like you said, you're not gonna get value out of him if you keep him another year.
Yeah, what you think?
Let me tell you, I'm gonna give you a couple of reasons why I don't think you get rid of Draymond Green. Number one, he is the veteran, the glue, and he's the spokesperson on that team. What Draymond is doing on that team right now, on the floor, in the locker room, is he's teaching those young players how to play winning basketball. We got Steph Curry, that's an ultimate skill player. We got Klay Thompson, that's an ultimate skill player. The one person that's on that team that didn't have any of those skills and worked his behind off to be able to be an integral part of that team is Draymond Green. And he's the one player that can pass that on to those young players right now and teach them how to work and get their way up to NBA quality type defense to be able to win. And he's the vocal leader on the team.
Yeah, but if you keep him too long, you get nothing for him. You know what I mean? Like you said, he ain't the best skilled player. If you keep him too long, you ain't gonna get nothing for him.
But what does it matter? What does it matter to get something for somebody if the heart goes out of the team? You let the air out of the tire, it's just a flat tire. I don't care how many more flat tires you bring on.
One little piece is, think about this. Let's just go back a couple of years when Golden State was contending for the championship against the Cleveland Cavaliers with LeBron James. When Draymond Green got suspended, Most people will tell you that was the moment that the momentum changed and allowed Cleveland to get that championship when they suspended Draymond Green.
Can I jump in? So I completely agree with y'all. If they were them guys then, they are no longer a team. This is a different team.
Right. And it's years later.
So they got to look to rebuild now to make a run. And so how about this? They not going to the championship this year.
Right.
Not long as the other Splash Brothers out. So you get Draymond out. You bring in some big guys for him. You got a new center, and now you start to build a new nucleus. This is going to be a new squad.
I'll tell you this right now. I think with Klay Thompson, I think they're a championship contender right now.
Yeah,
right now.
He's not playing this year.
He's not playing.
Yeah, but that's not right. You don't break a whole team up because of. See, this is where you guys are losing focus, saying that they're not the team from 2 years ago. They are the team from 2 years ago. They just haven't played together because of injuries. That don't make your team break up. You don't break a team up because you get an injury here, an injury here. When Draymond was injured, Steph is playing. When Steph is injured, Klay is playing. When Klay is playing, you haven't seen them together to sit here and say it's over.
Guess what? We're gonna finish this conversation on Monday before these brothers before they want to have a fight.
No. I'm not coming back Monday. I'm done. Hold on.
Rodney, tell everybody out there how they can follow you.
Hey, I'm right here, man. Website RodneyPerry.com and all of social media, Rodney Perry Live. I see y'all on YouTube.
Are you doing something this weekend, Rodney? You somewhere?
No, I'll be at the crib trying to get my wife to roll over.
Okay, family show. Talent. Talent is out of state. Talent's not in New York City. Talent, tell everybody where you at. What you got going on this weekend?
I'll be outside of Rodney's window, seeing if he gets her to roll over. No, I'm in Houston. I'm in Houston with the comedy concert. I'm rocking with Slim Thug and a bunch of these young comics out here making it happen. We got the comedy and concert all in one. Tomorrow night, Saturday, is going down. Comedy 9930. It's a big venue. It's going to be crazy. So check us out over here.
Fig.
You can see your boy at Comedian Fig on social media platforms. I'm at the crib, man. I ain't going nowhere this COVID season, man. But if you can't find me there, I'm always on the box seats Monday through Friday, 1 to 2 p.m. I'm trying to tell you, be there or be square, because we the best damn sports show on TV.
Y'all have a good weekend. I'm your host, Frank Holder. That's Rodney. That's Talent. That's Fig. This is the show called The Box Seats. We'll be back every Monday through Friday from 1 to 2 p.m. The repeat show is on the Humor Mill channel from 2 to 3. Make sure you ask your friends to tell a friend to tell a friend to download the Humor Mill app. We'll be back Monday. Next week, we got some guests. We got some athlete guests. We got some comics. We're going to have the conversation. And Monday, we are going to pick up this conversation about should the Golden State Warriors trade Draymond Green now for some value. 2 of us say no. 2 of us say yeah. Because when do you start to rebuild? When's the rebuild happen? We'll talk about all that Monday. Y'all have a good weekend. We'll see y'all.
Yeah, we're going to trade Draymond Green for